I'm a doctor, not a psychiatrist, not a ghost hunter, just a doctor. And for a long time, I told myself there had to be a logical explanation for everything that happened that night. I'm not so sure anymore. A few months ago, I started reading about a place in West Virginia called the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. The deeper I looked into it, the harder it was to stop. It opened in 1864. It was supposed to be a hospital for the mentally ill, but over time it became known for overcrowding, isolation, neglect, and death. A lot of death. By the time it finally closed in 1994, the building had already become something else in people's minds. Not just a hospital, a place people said never really emptied. Normally, I don't pay much attention to ghost stories. Visitors say a lot of things about old buildings. They hear footsteps, they see shadows, they convince themselves something touched them. That's what I thought too at first. But there was something about this place that stayed with me. Maybe because I work in medicine. Maybe because hospitals are supposed to mean order, reason, control. And the thought of a place like that becoming so full of suffering that it never really let go of me stayed in my head longer than I wanted to admit. So one night, I decided to go there alone. No tour, no guide, no one else with me. Just me, a flashlight, and my own stupid curiosity. By the time I reached the property, it was already dark. And the first thing that hit me was how big the building really was. It didn't look abandoned, not from a distance. It looked like it was waiting. Long brick walls, rows of dark windows, a shape so large and still that it barely looked real against the night. I sat in my car for a full minute before getting out. I remember staring at it through the windshield and telling myself I was being ridiculous. It was just an old building. That's all. An old building with terrible history. Nothing more. I walked toward the building slowly. The closer I got, the quieter everything felt. No traffic, no voices, no wind in the trees. Just my footsteps in that building in front of me. I found a side entrance that wasn't fully shut. The door was cracked open, just enough. That should have been enough to turn around. Instead, I put my hand on it and pushed. The smell hit me immediately. Dust, damp wood, rust, old plaster, and something underneath all of it that I couldn't quite identify. My flashlight cut across a long hallway, narrow, dark, doors on both sides, peeling walls, faded numbers. I stepped inside and the silence felt wrong. Most abandoned places still sound alive in some small way. Air moving, wood settling, water dripping somewhere. This place didn't sound empty. It sounded like something was holding its breath. I started moving deeper into the first wing. Every few steps, I stopped to check another room. Some were bare. Some still had rusted bed frames bolted to the floor. Everything felt left behind too quickly.
And this
Not
sink
abandoned
is
in
crooked.
peace, abandoned in a hurry. My phone had already lost signal by then. That didn't surprise me. What did surprise me was the temperature. One room would feel stale and heavy. The next would feel cold enough to raise the hair on my arms. I kept explaining it away. Broken windows, drafts, ventilation. I did that all night. I kept trying to make everything smaller. Then I found the chair. It was in a side room near the back of the hallway. At first, I thought it was just an old chair in the corner. Then I stepped closer and saw the straps. Leather restraints fixed to the arms and legs, a restraint chair. And that bothered me more than anything supernatural could have. Because it was real. Because somebody sat in that chair. Maybe terrified, maybe sedated, maybe begging someone to stop. I raised my flashlight for a better look. And that was when I noticed one of the straps moving. Just slightly, a slow sway back and forth. There was no window open, no air that I could feel. I remember standing there, waiting for it to stop. It didn't stop right away, and that was the first moment I felt rear, not unease, fear. I backed out into the hallway, and then I heard it, a footstep from above me, just one. Heavy enough that I felt it before I fully registered it. Then another, slow, measured, like someone walking across old wood upstairs. I raised my flashlight toward the staircase and listened. A third step, then silence. I should have left. Instead, I started walking toward the stairs. I wish I had a better explanation for that. I don't. Curiosity gets dressed up as courage more often than people realize. The staircase creaked under my weight as I climbed. Halfway up, I stopped and looked back. Nothing. Just the first floor hallway sinking into shadow. But I had the unmistakable feeling that if I stood there any longer, I wouldn't be alone. So I kept going. The second floor felt worse immediately, darker, heavier, stiller, and several of the doors upstairs were already open. That bothered me, because they didn't feel random, they felt chosen. And then I heard something behind me. Not a footstep, not exactly. More like fabric brushing across the floor. A soft, dragging sound. I turned around. The door behind me was moving, slowly, closing on its own. No slam, no sudden force. Just a steady, deliberate movement. Like someone on the other side was pushing it shut with one hand. I stared at it for maybe a second. Then the fear hit me all at once. I dropped the paper and moved for the door before it closed completely. I got back into the hallway, breathing harder now, trying to keep the flashlight steady. That was when I saw, at the bar in the corridor, a figure, tall, human-shaped, standing perfectly still. I couldn't see a face. I couldn't even tell if it was really looking at me. But I knew instantly that it wasn't supposed to be there. The beam of my flashlight shook in my hand. It didn't move. That almost made it worse. If it had rushed me, maybe my brain would have understood it better. But it just stood there, watching. Then, from somewhere to my left, I heard a whisper. Not clear words, just a voice low enough to feel more than hear, like someone speaking right beside my ear through a wall. I turned my head toward it for half a second. And when I looked back down the hall, the figure was closer. Not by much, but enough. Enough that I knew it had moved, enough that I knew I had not imagined the distance. That was the moment I broke. The flashlight beam jumped across the walls as I tore down the corridor toward the stairs. Behind me, I heard movement. Not fast, not chasing exactly, just steady, like it knew I didn't have anywhere else to go. I hit the staircase too hard and nearly slipped. One hand caught the railing, the other kept the flashlight from flying out of my grip. I went down the rest of the stairs too fast, boots slamming against the steps, breath loud in my ears. When I reached the first floor, the hallway looked wrong. Longer than before, stretched, like the exit had moved farther away. My flashlight flickered once, then again, and for a second, the whole hall went black. I kept moving anyway, one hand in front of me, the other gripping the light. Then the beam came back just long enough for me to see the side door ahead. I ran straight at it, shoved it open, and stumbled outside. I crossed the property, got into my car, locked the doors, and sat there trying to breathe normally. For a while, I couldn't. On the drive home, I told myself the same thing people always tell themselves after something like that. Adrenaline, stress, expectation, a dark building, a loaded mind, and too much history. That explanation almost worked until I got home. I went into the bathroom, rolled up my sleeve, and saw the mark on my wrist. 4 narrow pressure marks on one side. A deep band across the other, like something had gripped me hard enough to leave an impression. I stood there staring at it, trying to remember hitting a railing, catching on a nail, brushing against broken wood, anything. I couldn't. By morning, the mark had faded, but I know it was there, and I know I wasn't alone in that building. I haven't gone back, I won't, but there are nights when I wake up with the feeling that I'm standing in that second floor hallway. The open doors, the papers on the desk, the shape at the end of the corridor, and the certainty that whatever was inside that place noticed me the moment I walked in. And for one long second in that hallway, it felt like it recognized me.